Bit of a probe poke. Nothing too crazy. Again, things going rather normal here, right? Just the standard cookie cutter PVZ kind of stuff. There's a Robo now, though. Robo before the Twilight Council and the Stargate. So there we go. That's a bit of a different type of opening. I have seen some other people do this as well before. You could utilize it, of course, just for a quick War Prism, but I'm expecting to see Immortals here coming out. Maybe I'm wrong. It's a wild guess after all. Oh, wow. You know what? There you go. You're welcome, guys. You're welcome for the insight ahead of time. Don't know if it helps you in any way, knowing that it was going to be an Immortal before it actually was an Immortal, but there you go. There you go. You're welcome nonetheless. Yeah, a bit of an awkward moment for it. Needs a second Stalker or that Immortal to show up, of course. Although showing that Immortal to the Overlord in order to kill the Overlord would kind of do the opposite of what you want to do, right? You want to stop that Overlord from scouting. And if it sees the Immortal there, it already knows. Alright, well, you have a Robo and you went for it first because you already have an Immortal here. So yeah. Intel that LAMBO is gathering here is that it's not a Void Ray, of course. A Void Ray would just rush on over to just kill that Overlord. In order to hide the next step in tech. Here we go. This is a very interesting build from Mana. He's adding in now a lot of gateways that are finishing up. Charge is about to finish as well, as that War Prism will take along 2 Immortals. And then a bunch of Charge Lords will just be rushing across the map right now. Well, I say rushing. They'll be warped in across the map. The War Prism here gets spotted by the Zerglings. LAMBO now aware of the trajectory where the offensive is coming in from. He knows it's going to be a War Prism something. He doesn't quite know what's inside of the War Prism, of course. Just the Overlord perhaps may have seen a couple of extra gateways there being warped in. But still, very rough position now to have to warp something in here. There we go. Zealots rushing to the defense of the War Prism. Now actually going to be able to warp in. LAMBO did take that third base a little bit further away. The Immortals still remain hidden, by the way. They still are within the War Prism. Not dropped a single time. Really wants them to be a surprise for those Immortals. Hopefully one of the Immortals not doing any damage here. Just being smothered by those Zerglings. Nice micro there with the War Prism. Needs to safeguard this other Immortal. That is it's about as bad as it could have gone there for Mana, I would say. Zerglings coming from every which angle. The Queens were there. In all honesty, I feel like LAMBO was preparing himself for an offensive of his own. Starting to get ready with those Queens and now Roaches in production in order to start moving across the map. Mana just kind of running in here with this army. And, well, let's see if round number 2 will go a little bit smoother for him. It doesn't look like it will. There's just too many Roaches. Even with the 2 Immortals there, I suppose one of them was a bit absent from the battle there, as they got surrounded by the Zerglings, and then trying to target fire the Roaches, of course, is what you want to do normally, but if it can't reach the Roaches, then it's just not shooting anything at all. Very difficult situation here for Mana now. I mean, most likely we'll just see him tap out. Yeah, there it is. GG it is, and there we have it. The first victory for Shopify Rebellion, taking game number 1. Bottom right side, LAMBO, Shopify Rebellion's red Zerg player. Top left side, the blue Protoss from Team Liquid, Mana. Choop choop. And off they go. Off they go. Game number 2. Game number 2. Brought to you by the World Team League, of course. The best Chinese team league in existence for any sports or esports alike. Well, once again, I'm blocking off that natural, and LAMBO just going, alright, well, I'll take this third base instead. It is the more aggressive third base to take. Will he act on that aggression? I assume so. I mean, he wanted to do it the previous game. He didn't quite get to do it. He already got run into by his opponent and won that way instead. So yeah, he may as well just attempt that same type of strategy here once again, right? At least that's what I'm expecting. Mana. Well, yeah, just gonna go for the Nexus here. He knows he's safe. He's seen all the things on the other side of the map. He's not impressed. He's like, alright, Nexus time it is. I don't need stuff to defend myself right now. It's interesting to see Mana play that very aggressive style. I was expecting him to be the player to sit more back and try to just get into the macro game. Get into the late game, really. But yeah, maybe because of that as well, trying to catch LAMBO off guard on that respect, but perhaps the timing of those two builds not quite working out in his favor. Going for the Stargate play Mana is right now. I think it's a lot more solid if you do want to go for that, you know, more economic orientated play. Will be an Oracle for Mana. No Void Ray this time around. Oracle for the aggression, so it's less likely we'll have a follow-up of another Stargate, but and again, right? If you catch your opponent off guard, then that's always a good thing. Here comes that Overlord. Yeah, without a good way to kind of shut that down. Not sure if you want to commit to any big thing there. Oracle does kind of float around the Overlord there. Let's get spotted by the Zerglings though. There's two Adepts on a similar angle, trying to come in from the side here. It's a normal route to walk, but if the third base is on the other side, I wonder if this is still the best way to kind of get yourself into the Zerg base. Let's see. Not really a lot in that drone line. Unfortunately for the Adepts, we'll have to shade elsewhere. And the Zerglings already hold on their tail now, so shading away is going to be difficult. It's just going to recall those two Adepts, and truly nothing being achieved there by Mana again. LAMBO on top of all of these moves here, and really making it look effortless so far. Gone up to a very high drone count, though. I'm not expecting him to try anything aggressive with the Queens. The Queens' numbers aren't really there either. He's not been producing them, right? Lair is coming up, though, as well as a Roach Warren. A logical next step if you do want to go even, you know, quite heavy on the drones initially. Gotta get those next text structures at some point, right? Oracles, still not really managing anything. But we are having the air transition taking place. Mana brings in the triple Stargate here with the air weapon upgrades also coming in. No fleet beacon though, unless if I've missed it. But I don't assume that we have that one available. Spire coming up as well, as LAMBO wants to go along the air army as well route. The route of the air. Might be able to finally catch those two oracles that have been zooming around all day. As the Void Ray starts clearing up his mana side of the map, he's just producing more and more. Now going for the fleet beacon. Not entirely convinced if it will be for the carriers as well, but we'll see. There have been some Protoss going for more a Void Ray style rather than the carriers. Let's see if it will be enough though. How many Void Rays? We have 3 Void Rays here. Yeah, that's not going to threaten anything, unfortunately. Might be able to kill the Spore Crawler, but, you know. And then most likely Queens are going to start popping up here. I don't even assume that you got a scout there on the Spire either. 3 drones do fall here. And I suppose it's fair to say he didn't get a lot of drone damage. But overall, I mean, the worker counts haven't been that particularly high in favor for LAMBO here. I know it's like 10 higher right now, but I mean, it's Protoss versus excuse me, Protoss versus Zerg, and you kind of expect that type of deficit anyway, right? Zerg should have a couple more workers available overall. They're gonna trade less efficiently. They need that bigger economy, and Mana has been able to stay on top of this very, very well so far. And the supplies have been incredibly similar. And yeah, those are all good signs. Now, let's see if he will be able to sustain that type of equilibrium with Mutalisk now starting to add pressure into his main base. There is a fair amount of them. They probably will still have difficulty facing off against the number of Void Rays that is available, especially with their air upgrade advantage. LAMBO here figuring out what really is going on, the amount of Stargates available right there, the fleet beacon as well. Decides to go for a bunch of Corruptors here. But we're still seeing only Void Rays on the production tab for Mana. Funnily enough, Void Rays, they do very well against Corruptors. So that is actually not the units pick that you would like to have. The Mutalisk would do better against this mass Void Ray army overall. But we'll see. LAMBO is going to have those Vipers as well together with this force. So some, you know, parasitic bombs here or there might be able to just shut this down entirely. I like that. Mana is using half his flock of Void Rays here for the prismatic alignment. As they are just scooting around the map right now. Doing quite a bit of damage here. Getting a Viper as well. Nice putting away of the Void Ray that got parasitic bombed. And that's a dead hatchery just like that. Quite quickly established. And LAMBO not quite having an answer for it just yet. Again, making those Corruptors here. I'm wondering if that is just his choice. Maybe he's expecting a transition into the carriers here afterwards and he doesn't want to be stuck with just a bunch of Mutalisk. Or maybe it's just a decision based on like, alright, well, Corruptors still do better against Void Rays than Mutalisk do against Phoenix. And if I ever get myself into a Muta versus Phoenix battle, that would be just the worst thing imaginable. So I'd rather have just them insured. The worst thing that could happen is Corruptors versus Void Rays. Maybe. I don't know entirely. I guess the Corruptors also, they tank a lot more damage from those storms, of course. Which could be a good argument to make, to go for those Corruptors instead as well. Definitely interesting. Alright, well, Mutalisk looking to go for cannon right there in the third base. Do get shooed away from there, and 4 Void Rays that do not look ever so kind to the uninvited Mutalisk. Chitin is plating for the Ultralisk of LAMBO. Will be upgrading here. As Adrenal Glance is about to finish up a massive cluster of Zerglings. Can't quite manage to get the run-by going. Would be quite massive actually if they do get on top of that Nexus here. There's not that much around. In fact, it's mostly static defense, and that is very quickly going to go down to the nibbling of those quick Zerglings right now. But on the right side, we have that big ball of Archon, Void Ray, and High Templar starting to push on through. It just doesn't seem like the forces of LAMBO are anywhere near capable of dealing with this at the moment in time. It's trying to set up more of a cluster of forces here. But yeah, Corruptors and Queens, they're just not going to win against the Void Ray army, I feel like. Especially with this amount of Archons underneath. The Ultralisk will help out against those, but then still, you're fighting Void Rays with Corruptors, and I don't know, maybe I'm going to learn here. Maybe I'm going to see, alright, okay, so you should just do Corruptors against Void Rays, but at least my experience has never been a pleasant one. Whenever I go for Corruptors against Void Rays. Alright, here we go. There's the Storms landing. The Ultralisk trying their best to get rid of those Archons underneath. As the Archons are trying to just move themselves forwards and to the soft underbelly of that ginormous cluster of Corruptors. 1 or 2 volleys from an Archon on that Corruptor ball. That could be the end of that fight immediately, just based on that. Alright, Ultralisk starting to deal a little bit with the ground forces here. They're trying to make room for these Corruptors, but I mean, there's just not a lot to do for these Corruptors here. They're still rotating around. They're still just trying to find an angle. Storms are being cast. We still have at least 2 Storms available for mana, as he is starting to push backwards here. The Viper gets feeds backed as well, and this will just be an absolute massacre right now. LAMBO having a rough time with it. It's definitely a tough army to beat. GG is called. Mana takes game number 2 there with the Void Ray